Anyways, there was one here. This first question, actually question 2, is probably better left over until we go to talking about all this. It was going to be a great question to go into from the conversation that will never see the light of day, but if we ever get back into that, that might be worth going into. Why we were moving on about Android Q1 is probably best to get into, and that is, as far as I know, at least that's the way all the Android devices I've messed with, WEP and WEP2, excuse me, not WEP, but WEP2 is built into the hotspot that is built into the Android OS. What I don't know for a fact is whether or not that's also built into the ones that Sprint and others that are not allowing Google's built-in one to be in, but instead selling you their app that does the same thing does. And that's an interesting issue there. There
is a problem with that there. I think that, I know that the Droid X can become a hotspot, and I'm pretty sure that they let you set a password, but you can't know for other manufacturers because they could potentially take that functionality out.
Well, no, but it's like yours. You're not actually using Google's. You're using the Verizon app with the Droid X, the Verizon hotspot feature.
Right. So
But
what I'm saying is that since they do have all those things, since pretty much every company puts their own UI on Android, you don't know if what they take out.
I wasn't referring to their own UI because the Droids have had hotspot since 2.1, and hotspot is not a feature of Android until 2.2. Verizon made their own app for it, and they of course charge for that app, which is why they prefer that. But you're allowed to encrypt your hotspot, right? The Android OS has built-in WEP2 encryption, but when you turn your hotspot on, or your phone serving as an internet connection for your laptop, you can encrypt that with WEP2, right?
Not sure.
Is that because I know James has one of these phones that's using the non-standard Android one.
I don't pay for it. Use tethering instead. However, I am pretty sure that you can set a password for it, considering that you can connect. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, password's different than encryption. Hopefully, it's like WEP2 encryption, because a password for access, the packets still aren't encrypted, and that is a security liability if they're not. All right. So surrounding, we're not sure. I hope so. I hope
I've had my Droid X for like a day and a half, so I know nothing about the hotspot features. In fact, I'm not paying for hotspots, so.
At least this is one of the things that actually pisses me off about Android, because it's built into the Android OS, but the carriers want you to pay an extra fee for something that's built into the OS. It's like
that's the funny thing, especially when the data plan is unlimited.
Yeah, it's like
Verizon says it is truly unlimited, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least on Verizon it is.
Well, it's Sprint. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that's the thing. It's unlimited as long as you're not using it. If you actually want to use it, then there's limitations, and there's extra fees to actually use your unlimited data. It's like,
that actually gets into the whole idea of charging for text messaging if you have a data plan.
Yeah, it's like aren't text messages data? And for that matter, aren't a lot of the cell phones like actually making the cell phone voice line go over a data packet line? So isn't that data too? It's like
I don't know about the voice going over it, but the text messages definitely.
Yeah.
Text, picture, whatever else, they're all going out on data packets.
But we made it another channel, so it's another fee. It's just... Okay. I guess because some of these questions aren't really appropriate to get into on the other thing. Unless any of them look interesting to y'all. That's... You're going to have to lead on this one, Jordan, because Google did not send me one. And I don't think they're going to. My guess is they didn't send it to me because I used my actual name. And my actual name is just one of those names that if you did not know I was born with it, you would be convinced it is fake. And we're not going to go into that, but...
Well, thanks for making me wonder more.
That would be my guess. My guess is they saw my legal surname and they're just kicking out.
Secretly Captain Smiley. I saw the birth certificate. That's what it is. And he's from Kenya.
Anyways, what's your? Because you've done like a few videos on it. It's the if I'm hearing on Chrome as an OS, aside from the fact it's cloud-based, and everybody's like, oh, we're never going to have cloud shit. Cloud shit will never work. Nobody ever wants to do anything on the cloud. Okay, but before we get into this, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I don't know where the hell y'all stand on this, but I have been in companies where nobody can get any work done all morning because the router crashed, because they're doing everything over the network.
I've been there.
Yeah, medium to large businesses already have the problem of the network goes down and nobody can do any work. Whether it's the local network or the internet access via the cloud or the VPN, it's the same problem. It's a problem they're used to. It's a problem that happens periodically, and it just means everybody twiddles their thumbs and gets nothing done for the morning. And I really think all these companies are looking very forward to getting rid of those $10, $20, $100,000 data centers in the basement or in the wiring closet down the hall and offloading it for a small marginal monthly fee to some cloud-based thing that's much more scalable and maintainable. I really do think they're looking forward to it. I don't know about the average end user, but I don't think that's who initial cloud computing is focused at. That's my opinion.
I kind of see it the other way. The initial end user, the user who has never touched a computer before, like the beginner, cloud computing is wonderful because they don't really know what to do with a local computer in a lot of cases. They don't know about local doc management or picture management or videos or anything like that. Those are the things I found myself missing on the CR-48.
So they don't do any of that?
No. The one thing I learned, the amount of time I've spent with the CR-48, when you're online, if you've got Wi-Fi, if you've got 3G, wonderful. You can get onto all the websites you need to get onto. You can do Flash content, all that fun stuff. But as soon as the wireless gets cut, as soon as the 3G runs out, in my case, I've got a bug in Chrome that I found that whenever the 3G runs out on my CR-48, it forgets about the data plan entirely. Yeah, so I was out in the middle of nowhere in western Kentucky with my family, with my wife's family. Ran out the data. One of my in-laws took the Chrome notebook and was watching videos or on Facebook or something and ran most of the data. Once the data ran out, I was like, I'll buy more data. I can't buy more data. I'm in the middle of nowhere with no internet connection. Yes, I was very sad, and I sat in the corner for the next 2 days.
And you pouted because your CR book didn't work.
And I called Verizon the next morning and said, give me data now. And they said, we can't charge you the unlimited day plan because we don't have that in our system. And as it turns out, they were looking at the wrong system. And I still don't have data on mine. Yes, it's now like, this Christmas Day the next day. So it's been, what, 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
I have something to say about that in one of the other shows that hopefully gets done sometime in the next few days. I know you both have Verizon. I called Verizon with very simple questions. And I've officially designated the Verizon Help Desk the Verizon Helpless Desk because that's just it's.
I'm just going to say it. Most help desks that you're going to get when you call are helpless desks.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who you're calling.
Yeah, and you're right about that. They're all the helpless desk. It's sad,
honestly,
but true.
At the risk of being offensive, you're probably going to get someone in India because that's just the way the companies are working, and a lot of times there's a language barrier that you kind of have to fight through. I know. I don't know if it was Verizon. It was Verizon. I was calling to activate my phone, and I got someone in India that barely spoke English.
Yeah, and and they're supposed to train them more than that and stuff. They're like supposed to pass this. They can effectively speak American English and so before they put them on the thing. And I hear all of this, and this is an actual call. This happened about like 7 years ago now. But one time, I forget who it was, but I called support somewhere, and the guy answered the phone. And he said, "My American name is Steve. They told me to pick American name. My American name is Steve." And I was like, "What's your real name, Steve?" And then he realized when I asked that, he was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" He's like...
I was running a small business a couple of years back, and when we went to set up our phone service, our business phone service, we had to call AT&T. And the person I got answered the phone with this very thick Indian accent and said, "My name is Ronald McDonald. How can I help you?"
Ronald McDonald! That's...
And I kind of face palmed and then went through the rest of the call.
Yeah. Like,
are we off there?
Actually, not yet. It's like anywhere back on the CR-45.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We got off on a side tangent. Yeah. That's okay.
One thing I noticed, as soon as that data runs out, it basically turns into a brick. You cannot do anything. The offline browsing stuff, the offline docs, the offline mail, all those things, they don't appear to be ready yet. And of course, if you didn't know you were going to be offline, you don't hit that offline button. If it was working, you're out of luck anyway.
Because you can't switch modes. There's no like backdoor switching modes.
There's an experimental media player and an experimental file browser, neither of which worked for me.
Well, this is in beta at this point. I honestly do think how these things are initially going to be released to the public is as basically a cheapy netbook or notebook that you buy from... probably in the States, Verizon, and it's like you buy a computer for like the $100 or $200 of a phone, and you get a laptop.
Or they give it to you with a 2-year contract.
Yeah, but like that's going to be the rub. Basically, you're paying for it with the contract. Because on these smartphones, if you add the full cost of an average smartphone contract, it's about $3,000. That's what the 2-year commitment can wind up being. In a lot of cases, because you pay the $200 for the phone.
Oh, I never pay that.
I realize that, but I'm talking about I'm coming in new person. So you pay the $200 for the phone, and then there's the commitment of the whole contract. It winds up being $3,000 before you realize it. But anyways. So it sounds like good idea, not quite ready yet, whether or not it ever will be, but interesting. Anyways, the reason we were going into that also is I wanted to get your honest opinion on that, and the main concern everybody's throwing out that hasn't got their hands on on one of these beta books is that Google, basically all the apps in there have to go through Google. There's no like open submission process like there is in Android and so on and so forth. Is that the case, or is that looking like that's what the case is going to be? Is it very much like an iOS style platform in which
their Chrome Web Store is completely open as far as I can tell? I don't know what the submission process is like, but you can get to it from any Chrome browser.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is how the apps wind up in there.
How the apps wind up pre-installed, you mean, or?
No, how because the only apps you can have, the only applications or things that are accessible to Chrome OS are the things that wind up in that little Chrome OS Market store. Like you say, you can get there from any Chrome browser. So I could go there on this Linux box right now through the Chrome browser. But the things in there go through Google, and they have to go through Google's process and approval. We don't know how open that is yet, or are there new apps showing up in the beta, or you get what I'm getting at there?
Halfway. I mean the store, it's completely open. It's not just a Chrome OS store. It's open for Chrome itself. So it's to be honest, it's web links as far as I can tell. Every app that I've looked at, and I haven't paid for any of them yet, so I can't say that. But every other one I've looked at has been a link to a website. They're bookmarks with larger icons.
So it sounds like it's built on the whole AdSense model, basically.
At the start, but there are some apps that aren't web links. I've tried a few apps and some aren't. But one of the things that the Chrome Web Store allows you, that I understand, is it allows, with those web links, is it allows to save a local copy, you know, in however it saves it with HTML5 or something that you can access offline in the app.
Okay.
So that's the big deal with that. You can have an offline thing with that. Yeah.
Well, and that would make sense because I can run PHP server-side script from this computer here. I do it all the time as part of beta testing before I publish anything. For all intents and purposes, it's a glorified Linux box. Now, that actually brings up one interesting thing, because obviously the business model for these things is going to be lock them down and make you subscribe to like a 2-3 year contract, whatever. You said you were going to try and root yours, Jordan?
Because I have that bug in Chrome, I haven't been able to do anything to it. But there is a step-by-step process on the Chromium wiki page that tells you how to put Ubuntu on it, and there's a page on the Arch Linux forums that basically builds on that to put Arch on it instead.
Okay. Now, but my question on this is, I was surprised to hear you say you were going to try and do that, because isn't this technically Google's notebook and you have to give it back to them at some point? Or is it yours free and clear forever?
No, it's mine now.
It's yours now, free and clear forever. Okay. Hardware-wise, are they pieces of crap or are they okay machines?
It is pretty much on par with a netbook I used to own. It has an Intel Atom N455, which is meh. It's okay. It's got 2 gigs of RAM. It's got a 16 gig solid-state drive, 12.1-inch screen. I think that's about it. Intel integrated graphics. I mean, it's just pretty much.
It's a lightweight.
Yeah, it hits right, basically where every netbook is going to be, or every large netbook.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the low end for a larger netbook.
Okay. Well, we didn't get into everything we want. Well, do we want to get into this other PCV Macish thing? Say, because we are running a little over, even though we're a little short. Last line, the one that's actually a link.
Where?
This one.
The one that you just moved?
Yeah.
I am in approval of it. Of Google dropping H.264 in favor of WebM.
Any thoughts on that one way or the other, Jordan?
I can't remember, YouTube HTML5, is it using H.264 still, or did they move to WebM finally?
Initially, it was using H.264, but I believe their plan is to redo all of that in WebM, especially after this.
Right.
It basically, Google is drawing the line in the sand and saying WebM will not support H.264. It will be supporting VP8 as its HTML5 standard, which means that's what the Chrome and Chromium and Chrome OS is going to support. Which now means there's the other HTML5 standard, and there's this mandated by Google one. I like the one they went with because it is truly an open source codec. It's actually a good open source codex, unlike some of the ones that have been. And it's being rolled out, and I think it will be implemented very rapidly over the next 18 months. Actually, probably 12 months at this point. I just have a little bit of mixed feelings about the exclusion, because for the last 12 months, Google have been stopped, but that's more a PCB Mac thing. From an open source perspective, I think it's a win-win all around for the end user, because now we have a codec that is readily supported by an industry giant, officially the only one supported by their browser, indirectly supported by many other browsers. I think it's a win-win for an open video internet, but there's good and bad that goes with that. Anyone who's been investing in H.264 might have some problems at this point. So, I don't know. Sounds like, unless there's anything else y'all want to add on, or do we just want to stop off there and table all the rest of this stuff we screwed up on, and any other thoughts we have on it for next week, and then whatever else?
Alright,
I take that as a yes or a no.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Oh yeah, okay. We're gonna stop this here. Sorry this show sucked. We promise the next one will be better.